Hey guys, welcome to another video. This will probably be a quick little, discussion. Hey, look, I was thinking after this loss to Atlanta and for the Dallas Wings, and I was thinking about their two star players, right? And it seems to me like Dallas have a very interesting problem in Paige Bueckers and Enrique Ogumbawale. And here's the problem. They're almost like opposites of each other. Why do I say that? Here's why I say that. Paige is a very good shooter. Enrique, at times, can be a very good scorer. But here's the problem. Paige is the shooter. Enrique is the scorer. Paige is not a scorer. Paige Bueckers is not a scorer. Enrique Ogumbawale is not a shooter. And that's a very unique problem, because you would say, why can't one player just have both qualities? That would be spectacular. It would be spectacular if the person who can shoot also have a scorer's mentality. But that's not what they have. Enrique, unless she goes on a hot streak, she can't really shoot like that. But she's a scorer. She's going to try to score. And I can't knock for that. I'd rather have that. I'd rather have somebody out there trying to score, even if it doesn't work out, than have a perfectionist like a Paige Bueckers, who is a good shooter, but her impact is going to be limited because she's too picky. She's too picky about when she's going to try to score, how she's going to try to score, from where she's going to try to score. I mean, she's too picky. Even when she has a good game, her impact isn't going to be that great. And I say this to say this. Dallas cannot win a title if Paige is going to have this mentality. Unless her mentality has to change. She has to think like a scorer. She cannot keep thinking like a shooter. She thinks like a shooter. She needs to be perfect. And a scorer doesn't need to be perfect. A scorer is somebody who's going to do whatever, whenever, wherever to try to get the ball in the basket. That's the goal. Paige wants to be perfect. She wants to go 6 for 7. That's 12 points. What the hell you going to do with 12 points? You're out there for 30 something minutes. What the hell is 12 points? What is 12 points, right? Like, you need to take more shots. You need to try to score more to actually have an impact. You can't take 7 shots and because you went 6 for 7, think you had a great game. That's a shitty game. If you ask me, that's a shitty game. If you're a star player on a team and you're out there for 30-something minutes and you're only taking like 7 or 8 shots, and I don't care if you make all of them or if you only miss one of them, what impact can you have on the game? What impact can you have? And so until her mentality changes, until Paige's mentality changes to become that of a scorer and go out there with the intentions of looking to score instead of looking to be perfect, I don't really know how impactful she will be to the Dallas Wings. Paige cannot lead the Wings to a title. She can be an important part of it, but she cannot be the focal point of it. She doesn't have the scorer's mentality. She doesn't have a scorer's mentality. If she misses a couple of shots, she's going to shut down. And even if she's making shots, she's not going to take enough, because the more shots you take, the more shots you're likely to miss as well. And that's always the fear of a shooter, is missing. A shooter's worst nightmare is missing a shot. A scorer doesn't give a damn about missing. They're going to keep trying to score, right? Enrique's going to keep trying to score. She's going to double down, so to speak. Paige is going to pull back. So if Paige is out there and her shots are not falling, she's going to pull back and take less shots. Even if they are falling, she's not going to take enough for it to matter. So she's like a neutral. She's kind of neutral she's offensively neutral because she really can't have a huge offensive impact. She's a shooter who's afraid to miss too many shots. So the amount of shots she's going to, and the more shots you take, the more shots you're likely to miss. So she limits herself in order to not miss a lot of shots. So she's going to limit how many shots she take in order to statistically not look like she missed a lot of shots. On that alone, her impact offensively will be limited. So the Dallas Wings can't really look to Paige to power them to a championship. Like she would have to be perfect in order for her to power them to a championship. She has to be perfect. And basketball is not about perfection. It's not about perfection. Like if you're shooting 35% from 3, that's considered good. That means you missed 65% of your shots. So basketball is not about perfection. All right, it's always going to be on the lower end, not on the higher end. Those percentages are always going to be lower, not higher. So if you're out there and you're focused on percentages and not missing shots, your impact is going to be limited because you are the opposite of what the stats say you should be. The stats say that most people are going to be on the lower end. If you're on the higher end, what does that matter? It's like when they talk about field goal percentage. I very much dislike when they show like who's the league leader in field goal percentage. Listen, there needs to be a threshold for this, right? You cannot compare somebody who takes 2 shots a game to somebody who takes 20 shots a game. The person taking 2 shots, if they make those 2 shots, that's 100%. Next game, they take 2 shots, they make one, they miss one, that's 50%. Their field goal percentage is going to be astronomical. But what are they doing? They're not impacting the game, right? You think those 4 points are going to impact the game? No, it's not going to impact the game. All right? So Paige cannot lead the Dallas Wings to a championship. Now, Arike could, but she's not a shooter. She's streaky. Technically speaking, she has the right mentality. She just doesn't have the skill set. So Arike has the mentality, but lacks the shooting skill set. Paige has the shooting skill set, but she lacks the mentality. She lacks the mentality of a scorer. She wants to be perfect. To her, a great line would be if she go out there and she's 6 for 7, or she's 8 for 9, or she's 9 for 10. That to her is a great game. But that kind of impact is limited. It's limited, because you're trying to be perfect. Everybody else is trying to score. And so you're not going to impact your team the way a scorer is going to impact their team. I'm going to take a scorer over a shooter because a scorer can get you there. A shooter is going to frustrate you because they have the skills, but those skills mean nothing because they don't have the right mindset to utilize those skills to do what you need them to do. So Dallas has a unique problem. You got a scorer who ain't really a good shooter, and you got a good shooter who don't have a scorer's mentality. It's going to be a tough season for Dallas. Preseason looked good, but it's going to be a tough season for Dallas. I'm starting to question if they can make the playoffs at this point. And it's only been 2 games. The first game against Indiana, defense terrible. Second game, defense holding Atlanta. First game against Indiana, they gave up 104 points. That's too much. Second game, they gave up 77 points, but they could only put up 72. So, unless Paige gets a scorer's mentality or Arike's shooting ability increases drastically, where they going to go for offense? Where they going to go for offense? And the defense is so-so. I like AZ Fudd's defense. I thought she was great in the preseason. A lot of people are dragging her because she's not going out there dropping 20. But I thought defensively when she was on the court, Dallas was very active. She was very active, and I think her energy and movement and activity was translating to the team, and everybody was doing more and contesting shots more and being more active, and I thought the defense was better. But now she's got a knee problem. I don't know how serious that is, how long she's going to be out. Hopefully it's not that long. But, knee injuries, you got to be careful with that stuff, right? But, come on, man. I don't know. I was hoping Dallas was going to do something this year, but I'm starting to question it already. Maybe I'm just panicking too early, but I'm starting to question it already. Paige, you need to score, okay? You need to score. You cannot be a perfectionist, all right? You have to, your goal of being, you're like worrying about your shooting percentage, you're putting yourself before the team, right? You can't put yourself before the team and have an impact on the team. You have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice your shooting percentage for the greatness of the team. So maybe instead of being 6 for 7, you go 12 for 20. Okay? If you can go 12 for 20 with a couple of threes sprinkled in there, that's almost a 30-point game, right? But if you go 6 for 7, what is that? That's nothing, right? Against Atlanta, she was 5 for 12, 15 points. So she took 12 shots. I'm not sure what 12 shots is. So in order for her to have an impact on that game, 5 for 12. Let's say she made she took 4 threes. She made 2. If she had made all 4 threes, that would be 12 points. And then if she made all 8 twos, that would be 16. So the most she could have scored was 28 points in that game. Well, if the most you can score is 28 points, chances are you would have to be perfect to score 28 points. You're not going to be perfect because in basketball, it's always on the lower end. You're not perfect. It's not perfectionism, right? That's why those percentages are so low, right? Nobody's shooting 50% no teams are averaging 50% from 3. No teams are doing that. The averages are on the lower end. 30-something% is considered good. So if the most points you can score is going to be 28 points, and you're not going to get that unless you're perfect, so then you have to look at, if the most I can score with the shots I'm taking is 28, and unless I'm perfect, which I'm not going to be perfect, you're going to knock off a couple of points from that, and then you end up with 15. So you would have to take more shots to have a greater impact, right? You would have to take more shots to have a greater impact, unless you think you can be perfect. Unless you think you can be perfect. And she's trying to be perfect, and it's not going to work, right? It's not going to work. And it's going to frustrate the hell out of that coach because she needs to try to score, not try to be perfect. And so, they need somebody on that team that has the mentality of a scorer, but also the right skill set. Arike is streaky. She can get hot, but most games she's either cold or lukewarm, She would have to have a massive run. And then throw in the perfectionist who can give you maybe 6 for 7 or a couple, maybe a 9 for 10 for 18 points, then maybe that can kind of work. But other than that, Dallas, I'm not sold. I'm not sold. These players' mentality, Paige's mentality has to change. It has to change. This trying to be perfect stuff is not going to work. All right, the stat line might look good, but the impact on the team will be terrible. Will be absolutely terrible. All right? She doesn't have the killer instinct. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Paige Bueckers doesn't have the killer instinct. And that's going to be a problem for Dallas because that's the player they're building around. But she doesn't have the play. She doesn't have that killer instinct. Instead of just jabbing you, she's going to be thinking, okay, maybe it'll be more effective if I hit you here and then over here and then here and here, She doesn't have the killer mentality. So I don't know. Man. This season for Dallas is going to be I feel like it's going to be brutal. It's going to be another brutal one, game 2. And it already looked like it's going downhill. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.